cases can be pursued in courts. This effort seeks to pursue a balanced recognition of harm to civilians and to officers. It does not assign any collective blame, and hence it is evidence-led and seeks to pursue a humane redress for the harms suffered. Decided to pursue the period from January 1st, 2017 to July 31st, 2025. This period we think is long enough, but also short enough to be manageable. We think that compensation of victims is the best place to start this effort. It is because compensation is tangible, it is time-bound, and it is intended to unify our country. The panel that we seek to create will have the faces of Kenyans that all of you will be able to recognize and to see that they represent the face of the country. We will draw upon the Law Society of Kenya. We will draw from religious organizations. We will draw from civil society and from youth and women leaders. This panel itself will approve the framework for the compensation process. It will establish the eligibility criteria and the schedules to be followed, and will perform other acts related to compensation. We will be able to ensure in this process compliance with human rights norms and laws, and also adhere to public finance laws. As the President instructed us, our mandate is to deliver within 120 days. We'll also establish a technical team to work with us. And this technical team will draw from various institutions and organizations. Obviously, the Office of the Attorney General, the Executive Office of the President, the Ministry of the Interior, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and subject matter experts. All of these institutions and folks will form the backbone of our technical team. We shall also draw from psychology and trauma specialists, statisticians, data scientists, forensic experts, and record keepers and data protection individuals. I suppose that the Secretariat will be domiciled at the Office of the President. I just want to say that in spite of the steps that I have outlined, that we have made quite a lot of progress in identifying individuals for both teams, for both the panel and also the technical team. Thank you. And I expect that we shall be announcing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Asante. Asante. A hand of applause for Prof and Daktari Agnesani. Professor? Prof. Your Excellencies, the President, Prime Minister, and the Deputy President, with those two presentations, Your Excellency, members, we appreciate the seriousness of not just the implementation of the NADCO report, which we have been appraised on its implementation, and Your Excellency, I must appreciate all the members of Parliament, both in the Senate and in the National Assembly, for the support that they have accorded us in the legislative process of enacting the NADCO legislative bills that we have and those that are still with we have committed that we will conduct Zani are not about you as a president or the prime minister. These 10 points are about the nation of Kenya. The full implementation of these 10 points are not about ODM as a political party or the Kenya Kwanza coalition parties. They are about the future of our nation. And therefore, as a parliamentary group, we want to commit, Your Excellencies, that we will continue to ensure that we extend the support that is needed by the Agnes Zani team and also to Professor Makau Mutua's team, because as Professor has alluded to, there will be legislative proposals that will come to the houses, as well as requests for budgetary support in the implementation of the work that these two important committees are doing. Therefore, Your Excellency, allow me to close at that point and to now, Your Excellency, before I invite the Deputy President, we know whether ni fire si fire, noma si noma. We want to hear whether the Deputy President, whether when he says ni fire si fire, ni noma si noma, whether he can earn himself a second term as the Deputy President, as usual, depending on what he says and how he engages with this House. Honorable members, allow me to welcome the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Professor Kithure Kindiki. Very good.
Thank you. I wanted the Leader of Majority to delay a bit because the Prime Minister stepped out, because I wanted to take the shortest time here, having seen what my predecessors have gone through. and you know, both my predecessors are just like me from academia. So I was very worried. I wanted really we delay until the Prime Minister comes back. But I'm grateful to what Dr. Zani and team are doing. You're helping the country deal with very, very difficult issues. I am also very impressed by Professor Makau Mutua's work. It's quite a heavy topic that he's handling on behalf of the country. So my sister, Dr. Zani, and my academic senior, Professor Makau Mutua, I wish you Godspeed as you do this on behalf of all of us. Your Excellency, the President, and Your Excellency, Prime Minister, and my colleagues, let me just say two things as we wait for the Prime Minister to come back and address us. The first one is, for the last 33 years, our country has revolved around majorly two political formations. And the difference in the political strength of those two major political formations has not been very big difference. We went into multi-party politics so that you have strong is fairly strong. What that means, therefore, is that our country, like all democracies, requires bipartisan consensus building to deal with serious and heavy national issues and national challenges. I like what my mono in school and the leader of the National Assembly minority side, Junet said, my distinguished mono. He said that bipartisanship, oh, he's back. I was just praising you, Junet. We need we need bipartisan efforts to heavy lift the serious national issues. You've seen them in the 10-point agenda. The fight against corruption, the fight against ethnic bias, the fight against all these vices. Without bipartisan efforts, no single side can be able to ever lift these national issues. So let us not underestimate what the leadership of the UDA through President Ruto, the leadership of ODM, His Excellency Raila Odinga, has helped us to achieve as a nation. Because none of us alone would have enough political largesse to be able to even lift on some of the issues we are discussing here today. So we are in good space, and for that we must celebrate and acknowledge the visionary leadership of President William Ruto and the visionary leadership and statesmanship of our elder brother, the Honorable Raila Odinga. Going forward, those of us who are younger politicians, we should pick lessons from these two leaders, because there's a lot of excitement by many people who are in the political space, and they think leading the country or managing the country's affairs is a small issue. And some of the characters running up and down around, if they are given this nation to manage even for a day, the country will sink, because they don't have enough wisdom and enough foresight to be able to manage the complex society that is Kenya. So Prime Minister, we appreciate your leadership, your vision, and you've been able to show us, those of us who are younger politicians, that elections and politics should not undermine the collective interest, stability, and progress of our nation. You have helped us understand that individual ambitions to become whatever we want to become should not stand between us and our country's stability, progress, and sustainability. The last point I want to make now that we have reached where we wanted to reach is that, again, just to emphasize that I am happy to see again political parties whose leadership is here, but although the NADCO and the 10-point agenda was introduced by the two largest parties, UDA and ODM, we have other allies who have joined us from both sides. And what this means is that the country is generally and gradually forming the national consensus that we are looking for. And therefore, for me, the lesson I pick, even looking at the leadership that has spoken here, Stewart Matzayo from Kilifi, Owen Bayer from Kilifi, Junaid Mohammed from Migori, Migori and other places, and myself. Those who have felt that perhaps they need space to show their leadership skills, yet feel their background, their religion, their ethnicity disadvantages them. What the two large parties have shown us, UDA and ODM, under President Ruto and His Excellency Raila Odinga, is that those who have felt to be in the periphery, your stakes and your interests are better catered in large national parties. It is possible in a large national party to realize your dream, your potential, and your skills to be tapped than otherwise. And therefore, going forward, as we form coalitions and build our respective parties, let us look towards building national parties as opposed to sectarian parties, because that is where the future. So, on that basis, I want to end there, because I saw my colleagues got, I don't know who got no term. I want to end there and wish this meeting all the best. All right. Now, because our leaders are here, after it is over, I'll remain behind, and then we'll also test a few slogans after that. With those many remarks, let me take this. The leader of ODM, Your Excellency Raila Odinga, please come and address us. Wapi makofi ya baba jameni? Baba ni fire, si fire.
Mr. President, Deputy President, honorable members of Parliament, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Hey, I think I see almost a full house. Senators and members of the National Assembly. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here this morning to see you. I want to say that I'm charged, but I'm not scared. You know, I've been a member of Parliament for this constituency for 20 years. And I used to meet with members of Parliament. I was a Prime Minister. And every Wednesday was a Prime Minister's question time in Parliament. I used to be harassed a lot by members of Parliament. And that's why I'm not scared. But let me begin to say that none of us thought a day would come when protagonists just a year ago would get together to chart a joint way forward for this country. Ourselves together, and why are we here today? Why? In life of a nation, there comes a time when danger knocks on the door. It happened in the US during the Civil War that threatened to dismember the USA as we know it today. There's a region today referred to as former Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia existed as a country between 1918 and 1992. Then it fell apart into several countries, including Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia, Slovenia, Bosnia, and Macedonia. The former president of Yugoslavia, the late General Josip Broz Tito, used to say jokingly that I am the glue that is holding this fragile nation called Yugoslavia together. And if I depart, it may disintegrate in several small nations. And true to his prophecy, that's happened today. There's no Yugoslavia. Closer to home here next door is Somalia. In 1991, we were here when Siad Barre was forced to run out into exile where he died. Look at Somalia today. So there are several examples that exist around the world. As leaders, we are supposed to scan the horizon, spot the danger, and act to subvert that danger. In 2024, the last year, we understood that the dark clouds that were gathering over Kenya could have been exciting, but they could also mark the end of Kenya. We decided that it is better to have an imperfect country that is struggling to mend its ways than to have a collapsed one. We came together to create an environment in which we can discuss our issues and differences as people of one nation. As you know, and as you know here, there are countries that cannot discuss their issues at home. In my life, I've attended many meetings in London, Paris, Istanbul, Washington, name it, where African leaders are ferried from their own collapsing countries to discuss issues they cannot discuss at home. We go together to spare Kenyan that shame. Our object was and remains one, as one US senator called it, our country, our whole country, and nothing but our country. Having stabilized the nation, how have we performed in the intervening periods? How do we do better? How do we move forward in a way that respects the people of Kenya and that shows that we are alive to the circumstances that triggered our coming together and that we are acting on them? That is our object today. And that is why we are here today. We met and decided that we needed to have, for the first time, a joint parliamentary group meeting. We could now discuss with our members of parliament. Just over 2 months ago, I had an opportunity to discuss in this very same place here with the members of the executive. They came here and actually came with the blueprint of the performance, what they had done up to that time, and what they were intended to continue doing going forward. And I was very candid with them in my discussions with them. And I told them where I thought they were not doing right and what I thought they should be doing rightly. So as always, I'm always very candid indeed. Today, I'm meeting the members of the legislature. As you know, we have got 3 very important institutions: the executive, legislature, the judiciary. And I'm hoping that not very far away from today, I will have opportunity to talk to the judiciary as well. So I'm going to be very candid with you people. to talk to you as a former member of parliament. Yes, the leader, Gimani Chungwa, referred to the Constitution and told me the issues like NGF and and Senate oversight in because, as you know, I was very involved with the Constitution, making Constitution of this country. And at another time, I would want to bring Professor Yashpal Gai, who was the leader of that Constitution making. And we went through very many issues. We had committees in the Bomas of Kenya dealing with various segments of that Constitution. The executive was one. Legislature is another one. Judiciary is another one. Devolution another committee. The devolution was very contentious because we had very many people who did not want the devolution because of what had happened at independence. As you know, we started with the devolved system government, Majimbo. The foundation of Majimbo was actually contentious because it was ethnic-based. The colonialists and the settlers had actually instilled fear in the people that all the bigger communities, the bigger tribes at that time, the Luos and the Kikuyus, will lord it over the smaller tribes. And the smaller tribes need to safeguard themselves by creating regions and powers so that they can be able to be protected. That was the basis of Majimbo. And it was a very lengthy discussion at Lancaster House. So Kanu accepted Majimbo in London, but with the understanding that they would change it after the independence. So after independence, Kanu did Majimbo by not remitting funds to the regional governments. I want to refer you to the Hansard in the book. Censorship of the Prime Minister to the regional governments. You need to read that debate. Ngala moved it. It was seconded by Masini Muliro, who was the deputy leader of the opposition. And then first Jaramogi, Odinga, and then Tom Mboya responded to that motion. The motion was defeated, but that debate actually is very historical. And I want to refer you to it. Go and read what it said. Eventually, CAD, of course, had to fold up and dissolve, and then eventually Majimbo was also dissolved through a constitutional amendment. And then what happened was what? They created a ministry of local government, which was given a lot of powers. Became an executive minister, just like a minister for finance under that constitution at that time. Now they were county councils down there that we capped 265. But then they could not do anything without authority in writing from the Minister of Local Government. So we had all. But then we said we wanted to give more autonomy to the counties so that service delivery could be better improved. We came up with regions at Bomas of Kenya. But there are people who really opposed devolution. The chairman of devolution in Bomas was called Dr. Odinga. He addressed the audience at Bomas, and by the time he finished talking, everyone should be the chairman of that committee. Chairman of the committee. And he conducted that he became a marked person. What did they do to him? In broad daylight, 11 o'clock, on Ngong Road there, off Ngong Road, in his residence, they sent assassins. And in presence of his children, they shot him and killed him. The assassins of Mumbai were arrested. Eventually, they were released. So I just want you to know that the revolution has got very many people and very powerful people in this country today. Then after that, because you know the ODM is a product of constitution making. And one of the founding members of ODM is sitting here with you. The former president, who is a member of ODM in October, and all members are going to be invited. To come and attend. Now you see, we said that we want, we give clear, responsibilities. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And the legislature is supposed to make laws that the executive uses to run the country. And the judiciary is then there to ensure that in implementation of these laws, the executive is not constitution. But then, so the work of Parliament is representation, legislation, and oversight. Very clear, it's written there in the Constitution. Parliament is not supposed to be implementing. Parliament is supposed to be oversighting. It's not oversighting. And secondly, there is only two levels of devolution. There's, national and one level, county. Constituency is not an element of devolution. Devolution remains at the county. Down there at the constituency, the county government does implementation of the projects. I'm saying, correct. Down at the constituency, it's the county government. By the national government is supposed to do national projects. And we go down there. And there are functions which are clearly been assigned. Functions which have been clearly been assigned to the national government. I will tell you, your legislatures, and a very famous English politician said that I may not agree with what you have to say, but I shall defend until death right to say it. Let me say it. And then you'll have a chance to respond. So I'm telling you, I know that sometimes the truth is very bitter. I was there and we discussed with the Karue CDF. CDF were brought because of suffering at that time. In those days, with a centralized system of government, there was very little around to counties, to the districts. And then we'll be addressing people. People will come up to tell them their problems. Mtukufu Rais, hapa kwetu barabara ni mbaya sana, haipitiki, mvua ikinyesha kuna matope, barabara haipitiki. Mtukufu Rais, hapa kwetu shule yetu hapa, juzi mvua ilinyesha na upepo kaja katoa paa, watoto sasa wanasoma chini ya mti hapa. Mtukufu Rais, hapa kwetu hakuna maji. Mtukufu Rais, hatuna stima na kadhalika. when it's time to respond, say, "Ni mnasema barabara ni mbaya, mnasema hospitali hakuna dawa, mnasema upepo imechukua paa ya nyumba. Mjumbe wenu anafanya nini?" Yeye anapiga tu kelele kule kwa bunge, anapiga tu kelele kwa bunge, hajali mambo ya maendeleo kwake. Kwa hiyo mimi nitatumia mtu kuja kufanya rambi, lakini leo mimi nitatoa pesa ya kujenga hiyo shule, ambayo kujenga hiyo nyumba, nitatoa pesa na kadhalika. That was the end of it. So the MP was the one who was being blamed for the failure of the national government to do certain things in their constituency. And that's the reason why we came up with the idea of CDF. That was that time. Exactly, that was that time. But the constituency now falls under the devolved government, which is being led by the governors. So constituency is not a devolved unit. And members of parliament themselves should not be involved in development, because they're supposed to be oversighting. They're supposed to be oversighting. If you have yourself being involved in construction of roads, building of schools, building hospitals, who is going to oversight you? Who is oversighting you? So, Mr. President, I hold very clearly that these MPs know that they should not have any business in trying to implement projects in their constituency. Implementation of projects should be left to the county government. Secondly, the oversight, the national parliament oversight the national government, whether it is the National Assembly or the Senate. Oversighting of governors, the responsibility of MCAs, members of the county assembly, not the senators. It's not the responsibility of the Senate to oversight. Senate wasting time of governors to come and answer questions about roads in the counties. And thirdly, the issue of extortion. The issues of extortion. The issues of extortion. Majority Leader, you talked of, you did not talk of extortion, you talked of lobbying. Lobbying is okay. In the US, you've got lobby firms which have formed to lobby the members of the Congress. They come to lobby and they're known, they're officially registered as lobbyists. They come to lobby the members of parliament. But lobbying is a different thing from extortion. From extortion. Then you have a member, every committee has got a member who is how do you call him? Welfare bunge is giving a very, very image of parliament, that members of parliament should not be soliciting funds from me. Because you see, listen to me, you know, here in this country is very, very hostile to investments. Foreign investors who come to the country bring their resources into the country to invest it here. And when they bring their resources, when they find there's too much bureaucracy and there's too much extortion, they run away. Private capital is risk shy. And when, for example, somebody has come with his resources to start a project, and then you find somebody beginning to make noise that, oh, this project has not been approved. This project has not been approved. Or this project is being corruptly implemented. To run away. and delaying of the projects. And you find a situation where members of parliament inviting parastatals and so on, and even purporting to be cancelling projects that have been signed. That is the work of the executive, not the work of the legislature. So legislature should not be competing with the executive in terms of implementation of projects. Allow the executive to implement and just correct them when they go wrong. That's the country will develop. Create a healthy environment for implementation of projects in the country. Then this country will develop. I know I'm being too honest with you people. And I know that the facts, the truth sometimes is so painful, but I think it is important to say this to honorable members of parliament. Thank you very much. May I now invite my brother to come and address you people.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, ladies and gentlemen, let's take our seats. Thank you very much. Now, honorable members, let me join the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and all the leaders who have spoken before me to welcome all of you to this very important first ever parliamentary group meeting that brings the two major coalitions together today here in Karen. Karibuni sana. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga has given us the context of why we are meeting here. I really would want to add not so much because he has ably contextualized why we are meeting here today. That we have a nation to look after and we have a nation to protect, and there are options that are available to us, and I think we chose to protect the nation called Kenya by our coming together. And so I want to commend both the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and the ODM party, my former party, for standing up to be counted when the country needed leaders to stand up for Kenya. It may have been easy to do the opposite. It may have been popular to do the opposite. I know many people have vilified the Honorable Raila Odinga and the ODM party for the decision they took to stand for Kenya when there was need to do so. And let me say the following as the President of Kenya today. We have come from very far as a nation. We stand here today as a robust democracy, a nation that is making strides in our national development. And I want to speak to you candidly. I don't have a written statement because I really wanted to speak to you from my heart. Because, and by God's grace, I have out of the 5 people who have become presidents in Kenya, I am one of them. 5 Kenyans who that a nation, the progress, the destiny of a nation is decided by leaders. As to whether we are going to be a progressive nation or we are going to be a failed state is going to be determined by leaders, by us, the people who are sitting here. And therefore, the place of leadership is almost sacred. Nobody becomes a leader by chance or by default or by mistake. Today, you are a member of parliament or a senator or a governor or the position I hold and all the other positions that we hold because God and destiny has given us that chance. And we must think about it deeply. And so I want to ask you as leaders, the Honorable Prime Minister has given us a history of countries. I will add to that list 2 countries. Singapore and Kenya were the same countries 60 years ago. Malaysia and Kenya were the same 60 years ago. But today, we play in different leagues. They have managed to progress to the first world. We are still where we are. The difference between what Singapore has become and what we are is leadership. And that is the place, ladies and gentlemen, we occupy today. So that you understand the importance, the sacred position you hold as a leader. Sometimes people want to ask, how do people who live in different houses, they have their own lives to pursue, but they wake up one morning on an election day and they go one after the other to 10,000, to 20,000, to 50,000 and elect you? You are not special. But it is a moment that God has given us as leaders. And therefore, we must do whatever we are doing, knowing very well that we have a heavy, almost sacred responsibility to the people we lead, to the nation of Kenya. And it is not that we don't know what we should be doing. We all know what we should be doing. It is not that we have shortage of ideas. It is not that we have shortage of what we need to do. In fact, I dare say we have some of the very best ideas. We have very good manifestos all the time. And in fact, if you look at, and I keep referring to this, if you look at the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza and the manifesto of difference is hardly 20-30%. 70% we share what we think. But politics somehow has taken our country hostage, that we cannot do what we all know we should do. I have said that the difficulties that I face today as a president in Kenya are self-imposed. You know, I imposed on myself all these difficulties. Implementing the new funding model, implementing SHA, implementing housing, doing all those things. If I hadn't done any of those, I would be a very popular person, but the country would not have moved anywhere. I am confident that if Raila had become president, he would be doing what I'm doing. Yes. He would be implementing SHA. He would be implementing housing. He would be doing reform in the education. He would be doing reform in agriculture. I know that for a fact because I have been in his school of leadership. That's the correct position. And he would be as unpopular or as he'd be having the same difficulties that I have today. But these are necessary for Kenya to change. Friends, we cannot change the country otherwise. And that is why he has the courage to stand here and tell you, let us stop the extortion. Yes. I can stand here and tell you to stop the extortion that is going on in Parliament. I'm telling you the truth. Very few leaders. Because we like making peace with mediocrity. Oh, you know, that we shouldn't be explaining. Now let me ask you, friends, you know, we are all friends here. Yeah, we are one team, or so I guess. This fellow who is called chairman of welfare in committees, what is their job? What is their job? Extortion, that's it. And that is what Prime Minister is saying. You know? You know, what is Sokohuru? What is Sokohuru? Tell me, what is, you know Sokohuru? So, let me tell you. No, no, you see, and this is the same problem that we face. This is the same problem that we face because, look, for example, we passed the law that we all know, friends, we all know the problems we go through with fundraisings for people who have hospital bills. All of us. In your phones, you have WhatsApp groups. So-and-so has this, this condition, so-and-so has this condition, contribute here. True or not true? Yes. But we don't want to fix it because it's difficult. But I must commend you. I must commend the members of National Assembly and Senate because you took the courage and passed the bills that today is beginning to solve the problem of health in Kenya. It may not happen instantly, but you, all of you, can now see that there is a possibility that we can sort out the challenge of health and health delivery in Kenya. But because we had to be bold, you know, we had to be bold and make the necessary decisions. Today, we are dealing with the crooked hospitals and health professionals who still want to steal from SHA and to steal from our health provision. And we will go after them and we will deal with them. So, what am I saying? I am saying the following. If we have to change Kenya, my friends, we have a historic opportunity today with this broad-based government, we have a historic opportunity to unleash the full potential of Kenya. We all believe, I do, that Kenya is a very great country, this country of ours. There is absolutely no reason why Kenya is not like Singapore. We have what it takes. Let me repeat, we have what it takes to measure up to the countries in the first world. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But we are playing in the wrong league because leadership, me and you, are refusing to stand up to what this country needs. I really want to persuade you guys. I really want to persuade you friends. Yeah? This is not about William Ruto. I am here today, I will not be there tomorrow. This is not about Raila Odinga. Right? It's about the country called Kenya, where today we have the privilege to be the leaders, to be the decision makers, to decide which way Kenya. It is us who are seated here. It is us. And we have the historic opportunity to make this country what we have always wanted it to be, but it has not been. As I have said, the same way Raila Odinga can stand here and tell you we must stop the wrongs, I have also said that I am ready to pay whatever price to make this country change. Yes, we must change this nation. And we can do it. Look, housing was part of our conversation for the last 30 years. Yes, we've always talked about housing and how important it is and how it is going to create jobs, how it is going to stop land fragmentation, how it's going to allow us to produce, to save land that is meant for food, how we are going to have decent housing, how we are going to reduce on slums, how we are going to have decent livelihoods. We've always said that. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga tried with the first slum upgrading projects. We started there. The housing levy, go and read the Azimio Manifesto. Read the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. It is there. It is there in both manifestos. We now are seated here and we have the opportunity to implement what was in the Azimio Manifesto and what was in the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. Friends, why don't we just do it? Why don't we just do it? We will do it? Yes. Let us just roll it out and look. You can see for yourselves how transformational it is. Today, using the housing levy, we are not only doing housing, we are doing markets, we are doing hostels. And I promise you, what you see in Mukuru, what you see in Kisumu, because I have been there with Baba here, what you see in Eldoret, what you see in Nakuru, what you see in Kiambu here, what you see in almost every part of Kenya is just housing implemented for 2 years. And you can already see the kind of impact it is having, the number of jobs it is creating, the way it is bringing change in our towns and cities. Friends, if we were to do this for 10 years. If we were to do this for 20 years, and this is a project that has been delayed, we are supposed to have done this 30 years ago. Tell me, if housing was implemented 30 years ago, how Kenya would be looking today. We wouldn't be different from Singapore. We may have started late, but we now have a chance to do it. I want to ask you, I want to request you for us to come together. And we are not coming together so that any one of us can get anything. We are coming together so that we can transform this country. And it is possible in our lifetime to change Kenya. In our lifetime. We now have maybe 320, 350,000 young people working in that space. We could double that to 700 in the next 2-3 months. We could scale up that to 1 million by next year. And we can energize the transformation of our country. That is why we are sitting here. That is why Baba and I have called this PG. Baba has told you we are here for Kenya. I am buttressing what we are saying, what he is saying, by telling you what we can achieve together. What we can do in our agricultural transformation. If it was not for the broad-based, for example, we wouldn't have had the kind of change that is required in our sugar sector. And I want to tell you, watch this space. In just 2 or maximum 3 years, Kenya will be a net exporter of sugar. Just 2 or 3 years. This country, which perennially we have been looking for safeguards from COMESA. Every year, we are looking for safeguards from COMESA. We are spending public money to go and pay for sugar, to go and pay for farmers, to go and pay for workers who don't work for government, just because we couldn't bite the bullet and tell the crooks there to get out. Now we have told them to leave. And I want to promise you, I want you to hold me to it. We are going to change the sugar sector. We are going to change the coffee sector. You have already seen what is going on in coffee. There is still a little bit of pushback, but we will deal with it. And on and on and on, and we can transform our whole agricultural sector. Just the little interventions that we have done standing together. You people in Parliament making sure that we are subsidizing production. And I must commend, Parliament has always provided money for us to support the production of the country, either through fertilizer or seeds or other interventions when we have brought it to Parliament. So you're part of the making of the history of our nation. Just imagine we have reduced the imports of maize, for example, by 70%. Reduce the imports of sugar by 70%. And we can make that progress if we are focused on where we want to go. And that is the reason why we have to make the decisions that we have made work. It is the reason why Baba and I have appointed Agnes Zani and her team, so that what brought us together, we don't forget. The 10-point agenda that we have signed buttresses what is actually in our manifestos. The NADCO report, we all know what it is supposed to achieve. And if we stand together, we can achieve all the legislation that is recommended by the NADCO report. Parliament has what it takes, to do this. For Kenya, we can do it. And I want to persuade this PG to work with us and for all of us to be committed to this exercise. Protecting devolution. There is need for us as a nation to distinguish between governance and devolution. The governor is not devolution. The governor is a person. Devolution is about the people. It is not about the governor. And we can deal with the governor without disrupting devolution, if there is need to. But what is sacrosanct, what is constitutional, is that we must get local people, development, to be at a local level as much as is practically possible. I agree with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, because I was in Parliament when NGCDF was passed. And the principle was right, because there wasn't any meaningful resources getting to the grassroots. And the big push for devolution in the constitution-making process was 3 principles: making sure that resources get to the grassroots, making sure that there is representation at the grassroots, and making sure that accountability is also at the grassroots. So we need a conversation. There are legitimate concerns on how resources are being spent at the counties. There is. We cannot also run away. There is legitimate concern. Let me ask, for example, the latest Sokohuru in the Senate. Because you have to accept, by virtue of the position I hold today, I am a consumer of raw intelligence. I know what's going on. Where does somebody find 150 million? Where? Is that his money? That is money that belongs to the county. Is that correct or not correct? Yes. Let me ask you, members of parliament who are seated here. Do you, for example, know, do you, for example, know that a few members of your committee collected 10 million shillings so that you could pass that law on anti-money laundering? Did you get the money? So, going forward, si tunataka tukubaliane, si we are one team. Yes, there are people who are destroying the credibility of parliament. And they are collecting money in the name of parliament. And some of the time, or most of the time, that money never gets to parliament, it gets to a few people. We are not going to shame them. We are going to arrest them. Yes. Do we agree? Do we agree? Yes, whoever is giving and whoever is being given and whoever is doing whatever it is, we sort them out. Because the reality, friends, the reality is that there is a problem. And we all know here, tukitaka tu kusema ukweli, there is a problem. And unless we sort it out, we are going to destroy our nation. We are going to destroy this nation unless we sort it out. And we must be as candid to ourselves here as we are candid in implementing what is transformational for Kenya. Tunaelewana? Now, let me say this. We must make sure that we get resources to the grassroots, but we also must make sure that the resources that get to the grassroots is used for the people, not other ways. And so we must do for the national government as well. In our 10-point agenda, we have discussed about the young people of our nation and how we need to protect their livelihoods. I want to ask the leadership seated here today, members, I want to persuade you. We have a robust program. We have, I think, close to 8 or 9 different programs targeting our young people and how we can meaningfully engage them in employment and other interventions that benefit the young people of our nation. I will say this. We spend close to 650 billion shillings every year in education, making sure that our young people go through primary school, ECD, primary school, junior school, secondary school, TVETs, and universities. We must equally have clarity in how these 650 billion, how do we recover that money by making sure that our young people become a resource for the development of our nation instead of being a problem to our nation. We must do that. And there are 6, 7 interventions that have gone through Parliament. Housing is one of them. Export of labor is another one. Digital jobs, and every member of Parliament here, especially with the National Assembly, you have resources to do ICT hubs. I remember discussing with Sirma there, chairman of NGCDF. I remember discussing with Kiarie, the chairman of ICT. And if there are any issues that concern, sometimes maybe we have a problem with resources, Mbadi is here, he knows that if there are resources that needs to be made available, it's for us to provide interventions for young people to get an opportunity to work. You know very well that we can create hundreds of thousands of jobs in the digital space. You are aware of what we are doing in Nyota. You are aware of what we are doing in KJet. And if you don't, we should be able to explain to you so that you become part of the people, because you speak to hundreds of thousands of people every weekend, every day, as you go about your responsibilities, how they can tap into these opportunities and create livelihoods for the young people of our country so that they too can make a contribution towards making Kenya what we all want it to be. And I can continue, and I can continue on all the other aspects that we have worked on. We agreed that we must have a conversation on national debt because it has the potential to threaten our development. It is the reason why my good friend Mbadi and I have been in many different places, and we have done the most that we could to contain the issue of debt. We have gone out of our way to look for alternative sources of funding so that we don't always go to borrow. we have gone the route of securitization. We've gone the route of private-public partnerships. You know very well that we will be starting the construction of the road all the way to Mau Summit from here, Ironi. We are not going to be spending any debt money from government. The road is going to be built on private-public partnership. You know very well that we are going to begin the railway going all the way from Naivasha to Kisumu all the way to Malaba. We are not going to be spending money from debt like we did with the first section of the railway. We are going to be using public-private partnership to do that road. And many others that we have, we are thinking outside the box so that we can craft alternative mechanisms of delivering on public infrastructure or public goods without necessarily endangering the country with national debt. So we are working at it. It is part of the recommendation of the 10-point agenda that we must deal with. And we are seized with that matter. We will be giving, Mbadi and company will be giving a report to Zani's committee on what practical steps are we making to respond to the issues in the 10-point agenda. What are we doing about the young people? We will be able to tell Zani and the PG should be there to monitor what we are doing so that we not only do it for us, but we also do it for the people that we represent. And finally, because I do not want to belabor the point, I said we have a historic opportunity. It is not always that protagonists come together to look at the greater interests of the country. But God has given us this opportunity. And I must commend Baba here. Because very few leaders have the courage and the mettle to withstand criticism and stand for the nation. Very few people. Very few people. Many people look for what is convenient, what is popular, even if it is wrong, and they want to pander to it. But when a nation's destiny is at stake, you need statesmen, you need people who have the courage to put Kenya first and everything else secondary. So, what am I saying in conclusion? I am saying Zani and team have a job to do. They will be briefing Right Honorable Raila Odinga and myself on what needs to be done. We will be able then to guide what will be happening, what the executive need to do, what the legislature, the role the legislature need to play, and the role others may need to play. And as we do that, we will need another opportunity to be granular. It was the first occasion for us to deal with this. But at least the ministers to come minds between the executive and the legislature on matters that are further down the road. We may need that engagement. Maybe not in a sitting like this. Maybe we can organize a retreat for 2 or 3 days so that the questions I see members of parliament asking on some of the programs, we can fully understand the import of the programs we are running, what they are meant to achieve, the transformation that is supposed to happen, and how we position ourselves to make sure that we provide the push necessary for that transformation to happen. Again, focusing on the greater picture, the bigger picture of our nation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for coming for this session. I know we will listen to you by way of feedback on some of the things that you want us to respond to. We are here because we are one team and we want to succeed together. And we want to make sure that none of us is left behind. Are we together? So, mimi nimesema asante sana. If there are any questions directed to me, I will be willing and ready to answer. If there are some directed to any one of us here, we will be able to answer. And then the rest, we will deal with it together. Asanteni sana, and God bless you.
We may have our seats, honorable members. Your Excellencies, the President and the Prime Minister, honorable members, let us give the two party leaders a hand of applause. Your Excellency, if you did not hear two-term for yourself or the Prime Minister, it is principally because we recognize and appreciate your very